people know what they need to do and they just get stuck in fear. I had a decision to make. Do I let that continue to affect me negatively, or do I step up and take control of my life? I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I want it more than I fear it. The death of fear is certain when you face it. So you just have to learn how to stand up and face it every single time.
Welcome to Michelle's Seat at the Table. I'm honored to have you join me today. This podcast is about leadership, about community, and the conversations that shape us. Because as you know, life is not just about the destination. It's about the richness that's found in our journeys and our stories. So today I have a very, very, very special guest. To wrap up season 2 of Michelle's Seat at the Table, I am joined by Mr. David Radney.
Thank you for having me here. It's such an honor to be at Michelle's Seat at the Table. Happy to be here.
Well, thank you. It's going to be a great session, a great conversation. I want to tell the listeners a little bit about you before I get started. So today, as I said, I have a very special guest. David Radney is an author, an accomplished real estate coach, and founder of Push, helping thousands of real estate agents elevate their careers, their mindsets, and overcome fear as they thrive as professionals. So David is, for those who don't know, also my husband of 25 years, the father to our 2 amazing daughters, now both college students, and so much more. So I can't wait to get into it. Welcome again, and let the listeners know where you're joining from.
Hey, this is David Radney here. I am joining from my home office. I'm so excited to be here. What you guys don't know is I've been telling Michelle to do a podcast for a couple of years. I knew she had a voice that people needed to hear, and I'm just so happy to be here wrapping up season 2. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. We have so many things to get into. I've got a list of questions, but why don't we start? Because today I'm featuring you. I'm featuring David Radney, the accomplished author, which we'll talk about your book, I Want It More Than I Fear It. But why don't you share a little bit about your background and your career? How'd you get into real estate?
You know, so it's interesting. And I typically answer this question telling people how I actually got into real estate. I just want to tell you that I got into real estate as an introvert, which I think people find really interesting because
people won't believe that.
They never believe that. And you have the pleasure of having known me for 27 years, so you know this to be true. I got into real estate because I really enjoy homes and purchasing homes and the negotiations. And I did not realize how much of a people business real estate was. Mm-hmm. And as an introvert, and also being a tad shy in the beginning, it's a huge transition in order to be successful because you grow into the conversations that you have. And I had to really work at becoming a great sales professional and learning how to get comfortable being uncomfortable. So that's how I got into real estate as an introvert. And I was able to figure it out over the years, and which has led me to become a coach. And I know we'll get into that later on.
Yeah, well, why don't we jump right in? So was there a specific turning point that took you from agent to coach? And tell us a little bit about that.
You know, I think it was realizing that I got more joy from helping people learn how to do real estate because I was always a mentor and helping people. And there was a point in time when I would write down every year what I loved about real estate and what I didn't like about real estate. And I remember the one year I wrote down, man, I really enjoy helping other people learn how to do real estate, learn how to overcome objections. And so I decided to lean into that.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into it, because I do understand, like Zig Ziglar always says, when you can help enough people get what they want, you always get what you want. And I knew that, you know, doing real estate, it's almost like drinking out of a fire hydrant. There's so much to it, and people just need the guidance because information's everywhere, especially nowadays. It's really learning how to execute on that information, but really how to overcome the fear that a lot of people have when it comes to having the conversations. And like I said earlier, that's something I had to master. So I'm well equipped to help other people with that as well.
So you're a real estate coach, which is different than being an agent. And tell us a little bit about the coaching business that you have.
So the coaching that I do, I'm a listing based coach, which means I help real estate agents learn how to go out and work with sellers and get listings. And so the difference between being an agent and being a coach, well, for me, this is my difference. I know how to do this business and I know what it takes. And so many people get into real estate. They go through real estate school and they get their license and they know nothing about real estate, nothing whatsoever. And so again, my job is to show you how to structure your time because it's not really about selling real estate. And I know this is going to sound counterintuitive. It's about following a schedule. It's not about selling real estate. And real estate is about specific activities that need to be time blocked and executed on every single day consistently. That's how you build your business. So what I do is I give people the structure and the guidance, the support, the accountability, and then also the encouragement as well. I saw your face when I said
Oh,
accountability. You know that's a big piece of what I do, right?
it is. And what people don't realize also is that while I'm not technically one of your coaching clients, I get your coaching a lot as well. So we talk about different scenarios. You hold me accountable to a number of things when it comes to pushing me. So you use push, and you can tell us what push is. But I'll just say first, you push me. You nudge me. That's how this podcast got started when you were saying, you should start a podcast. You've got a story to tell. And I was really like, people don't need another podcast. They don't want to hear what I have to say. And you were like, yes, they do. And you should put your voice out there. So it is largely because of you. Thank you, sir, that I actually am hosting this podcast and having you at the table. So before I get into my next question, which is about your book, tell everyone what PUSH actually stands for, what that means.
So PUSH stands for prospect until success happens. And to me, it was such a great name because everybody needs that push, right? And in real estate, it's a numbers game. Sometimes we're giving up at like the 11th hour and you just need that push to keep going. You probably have seen this diagram where it's a man in the mine and he's hitting the wall. He wants to break through and he's just like, it's not happening. And he gives
Tired.
up, right? He gets tired. He gives up. His determination and discipline isn't there. The next miner comes right behind them, hits the wall a couple times, cracks it open, and there's there's all the reward, right? So I am the guy that's pushing people to keep going. And in order for me to do that, I got to be tapped in to their why, what's important to them, because when I know what's important to them, I know how to push them to keep going. That's what push is all about.
And I think that's great. And I do, one of the things that I love about it is that while your focus is on real estate, it's a mindset that regardless of the type of career you have, whether you're selling houses or selling computer technology or books, right? It doesn't matter. You have to have that same mindset in being able to keep going. And so push to me means so much more around keeping it up, right? Keep up what's working, and to be able to reflect and realize when it's not, so that
Yes,
you can make changes.
I love that.
So I am so proud of you. Last year, you wrote your first book. So for the people who are out there, yes, I want it more than I fear it. How to
Yes.
push beyond your limits, succeed without fear, and crush your real estate goals. Same thing, whether you're in real estate or not, this is a good book to get and to have. But I want you to tell the listeners and viewers, for those of you that are on YouTube, what inspired you to write this book.
So many things. I've worked with thousands of agents, and one of the biggest things that I have learned is that people know what they need to do, and they just get stuck in fear. And I've
Yes,
been there, so I
me
can really
too.
speak to it. Like that phone can weigh 800 pounds. Now, looking back, I'm like, what was I ever afraid of? But when you are starting out, that fear is a real thing. And so for me, this book is a blueprint on how to be successful in real estate. However, if fear is getting away and you're never taking action, you're never going to see the success. So in this book, I'm really transparent about how I push through it. You know this. I had a fear of public speaking and I had a decision to make. Do I let that continue to affect me negatively, or do I step up and take control of my life? I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And the
Yeah.
thing that was holding me back was that fear. And so the title of this book is so important to me. I want it more than I fear it, because if your wants and your desires, what we call our big whys, are big enough, they're bigger than the fear, and you'll step up and you'll face it anyhow. And the saying goes, the death of fear is certain when you face it. So you just have to learn how to stand up and face it every single time. And the thing that I find very interesting, I don't think the fear ever really goes away. You learn how to reframe it. Instead of saying fear, I say excited. I don't say I have a fear of public speaking. I say I'm excited to go out there and share my message with people. And then I
Yeah.
find when I feel the butterflies, I'm like, yeah, that's that excitement. It's like getting on the roller coaster. I'm excited about it. And it just makes me feel different about how I show up.
Well, one of the things that you used to tell me, you still tell me, and I actually did a podcast episode about this, is that done is better than perfect. And I think that's part of it when it comes to fear. Sometimes you have to do it afraid. You have to just start. Another one of my podcast guests talked about doing it with shaky knees. This was the episode with Helene Lerner. And
Hmm.
she's like, you just have to do it. You can't let the fear hold you back. And sometimes you just work through things that people can't see.
Well, it's one of these things too, where you have to ask yourself, when you're saying yes to the fear, what are you saying no to? For a lot of
Mm,
people in real estate, saying yes to the fear means they're saying no to paying for college, or paying for the house that they want to
yeah.
purchase, or having that great vacation. So saying yes to the fear is saying no to the things that you really say are important to you. And if they really are important to you, then do it with shaky knees, right?
Do shaky knees. Yes. So I'm opening the book because one thing that I want to ask you to expound upon, this is in chapter 13, come from contribution. And so one of the things that you talk about is gratitude. And I know that gratitude is a part of mindset for you. But
Hmm.
when you talk about gratitude in your coaching, when you talk about just showing up from a perspective of contribution, how do you tell people, how do you teach that? How do you instruct people? What is your advice when it comes to gratitude?
Well, the biggest thing with gratitude, and you mentioned coming from contribution, I think so many times we are in sales, we're real estate salespeople, but we are so transactional, and people can smell that on us, right?
Mm,
So what I tell people is to be grateful you have the opportunity, come from contribution. How can I help you?
yeah.
Because here's the thing that Zig Ziglar says, and I quote this all the time: when you can help enough people get what they want, you always get what you want. So
Mm-hmm.
number one, be grateful you have the opportunity to serve them. And then your question is, how can I help you? What are you looking to accomplish by getting this home sold? And what's that going to do for you? Once they're sharing all that information for you, you're just coming from contribution. Well, here's what I have. Here's how I can help you. Here's the information you need to make the best decision. Whatever you decide, I'm okay with. And when you come from that approach, people don't feel pressured. However, they see that you actually care because you're taking the time to ask the right questions and stay on the part that's important to them. What's in it for them?
And people want to be seen and they want to be heard. And so
They
when
do.
you do that, it just helps put you in a more favorable position, whether it's immediate or if it's down the road.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So in this book, you talk about, it's in the bonus, your
Hmm.
fear of bridges and overcoming that fear. Overcoming that fear. I bring it up because you talk about it publicly. It's in your book. You have an amazing picture. So I mean, again, for the people who are on YouTube, for those that are listening, you have to, go to YouTube. But there is an amazing picture of you walking over a bridge. Tell us about this picture and how
Yes.
you faced that fear.
Well, before I tell you guys the story about that picture, one thing I will say is Michelle has been with me in the car when we've been going over a bridge, and she knows this to be a real fear. Here's what I will tell you. That particular picture is in upstate New York. It's Bear Mountain Bridge. And I remember on one of my Monday hikes, I was driving up to that area of upstate New York, and I drove over the bridge. And I was so nervous, like white knuckling the steering wheel. And
Yes.
as I was going across, I happened to look over and I just see this image and I'm like, wow, beautiful image. Right. So I parked my car on the side of the road and I walked across the bridge. And what normally would take a minute took me about 15 minutes because I was so afraid and I had to keep stopping and 18-wheeler trucks were breezing by
Were
and
you
shake
holding
the
on to
bridge.
anything when you were walking over the
I
bridge?
was holding on. I was holding on to the barrier. And I actually got halfway through the bridge and I took the picture and it was such an amazing picture. And in my head, I was thinking, I want the picture more than I fear the bridge. And so I got on the bridge and it took me a long time to
Yeah.
get there. I eventually got there. And then I said, I'm tired of this. Like I'm done. I need to face this fear because it's not just the bridge. It was other things as well. It's the public speaking, other things were holding me back. And I just had to put in this thing in my head that said, I want it more than I feared. I'm going to show up and do the thing anyhow with shaky knees. And I share that in my book because I need people to understand that when I'm telling them to push past the fear, I'm not speaking to you from up here. I'm speaking
Yeah.
to you from here because I have experienced that as well. And I know that I have been told I shouldn't say this. However, I want to put this in context. I'm not anyone special. So when I say that, what I mean is we all can do what I did. You
Sure.
just have to make a decision that what you want is so important, you're not going to let the fear block you. And so I did things in my life to overcome that fear of bridges. I did things in my life to overcome the fear of public speaking. And it was baby steps, like the movie What About Bob? Baby steps. And every day you just get a little bit stronger. If you focus on getting 1% better every day, at the end of the year, you're like 37% better. And year after year, that just compounds.
It does. And to be able to get to the end of the year or get to the end of the quarter and look back at the things that you've accomplished because you said yes,
Yes.
is a great feeling.
It's a huge, huge
On
feeling.
on that, so if there's somebody who's listening, which I know that there is, you
Hmm.
hear and see these people every day, so do I. If someone's listening right now and they are stuck, I get stuck all the time.
Hmm.
But if someone's listening and they're stuck with fear, they're paralyzed by fear, and they want to get to the next thing, what would you say to them? And this could be a personal fear, professional fear that someone is experiencing right now.
The first, I have these conversations every week. So the question is, what is that fear blocking you from having in your life?
Hmm.
And you have to learn how to be quiet and let them answer it because I can't take my situation and put it on them. Everybody has a certain background or certain aspiration that they have in life. And you have to ask them, what is this keeping you from doing? And I can think of an agent that I talked to. She wanted to retire her husband. Her husband had been the breadwinner for years and was just tired and ready to slow down. And he couldn't afford to because they didn't have the finances. And
Wow.
so her fear of picking up the phone was keeping him locked into a job that was slowly killing him. It was exhausting him and it was putting a strain on their relationship. And I said, tell me that the reward of being able to retire him is not stronger than this fear you're feeling right now.
Yeah, that's powerful.
It's super powerful.
Wow. And so in this case, this
Hmm.
person was able to overcome their fear?
Well, it took time. I said, you're looking at this whole list. What if you just called one person?
Baby steps.
Baby steps. And what's the worst thing that can happen if you call this one person? Like, worst case scenario, let's talk about it right now. She said, they hang up on me. And I'm, okay, tell me something else. Well, what if they cursed at me? Okay, tell me something else. And she couldn't come up with anything else. And so what I had to explain to her was it's a numbers game. You're going to get the hangups and people being upset with you no matter what. So you got to figure out how many of those people you need to get through to find the one person that will help change your financial situation. And you can't be tied to the outcome. If they hang up on you, brush it off and keep it moving. They're showing you, I don't want to work with you anyhow. Let me get on the phone with someone who is respectful and is willing to engage me. And
Yeah.
here's the funny thing. First call we made together, she didn't get business from it, but it was a pleasant call.
It wasn't as bad as she thought,
It
right?
wasn't as
We
bad as
build
she
up
thought.
in our head something
Yeah.
really extreme or really bad, and it wasn't that bad.
She was waiting to feel ready, and I told her ready isn't a feeling. It's a decision you make. You got to make a decision to pick up the phone and just make the call no matter what. And then no matter what happens, you pick it back up and make another call.
Keep going.
And I will tell you right now, that agent has a thriving business. Thriving.
Yay. I love that. I love that story. Thank you for sharing that story. I want to shift a little bit now because, as I said, people know we have been married. We're partners in life. And let's talk about partnership. Let's talk about parenting. Let's talk about just the work. You know, we get these kind of questions, me and you, work, life. How do you
All
do
the
it
time.
all?
Yeah.
But before we get into it, I just want to take a moment
Mm-hmm.
to say thank you to you, to give you your flowers. We have been in an amazing journey in life in partnership. And I owe a lot of where I am today because of you. I did the work and learned a lot, but you were there as a partner and support and cheerleader in a way that I could show up. And so for a lot of women who are ambitious like I am, a lot of people, a lot of women who have a lot of skills and talents or just the desire to grow their careers don't have the same level of support. And so I meet more women who can do the job from a skill perspective, but don't have the opportunity because they don't have the support at home. And I just want to say thank you again, because this journey, the incredible career that I have had and will continue to have is because I've had the support and you've propped me up because it hasn't always been easy. I've gotten knocked down a few times and I've gotten back up, but thank you. Thank you for being a partner in life.
You are very welcome. I'm your biggest cheerleader, and what I love about that is, like, I'm pushing you to be the best you can be, and I got you, and you know that. What we're also raising two daughters, and they're watching you just be so great and dynamic and go out there and do your thing, and they're also watching me support you. They're watching me plug in where I need to plug in and be there. And I want to set an example for my daughters because I want them to go out and find someone like me that's going to
Yes.
do the same thing for them. They deserve nothing less. And so it's not about what I say, it's about what I do and what they see. And what they see from us is us supporting each other in all of our endeavors, whether it's, your professional career or your podcast or me and my coaching business or my photography and camping, like whatever it is, there's full support there. And I think it's really important that we demonstrate that to them, not just verbally, but showing them how to show up for your partner.
Yeah, it's the actions because we can say we love you all we want, but it's how they see it playing out.
Absolutely.
So the question that people ask us all the time is after 25 years of marriage and they see us out, we've had one couple who said to us, actually, you got on me on this one. I'll say names. A dear friend of mine, Otis, and her husband, John, we met them at a party.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been probably 15 years. But we met them. And I remember her saying, after we became friends, she was like, I thought that you guys were dating. I thought you guys were like on a date. We were booed up. But people ask us, is there a secret? Is there a key? What do you attribute that to? And people want to know, not that nobody is perfect. No marriage or relationship is perfect. But what do you say when people say or ask you, how do you make it? How does it stay good all of these years?
So there are two things that I tend to talk about. Number one, you hear most people say a relationship is 50-50. I don't really believe that. I know where they're coming from when they say that. I believe that you have to give 100%, right? Now, there are going to be times like with you traveling for work and you're doing these trips to other countries, you come back and you're tired. You don't have 100% to give. And sometimes you may only have 60. What we do is we give 100% of our 60, right?
Yeah.
So we show up how we need to show up. So I think we complement each other very well there. And then the other thing I tell people, and I believe this has been really impactful. You hear the saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You can if the dog wants to learn. And I know I'm not perfect. I didn't necessarily have the best examples of like what it is to be a partner growing up. However, one thing, you and I have done for a number of years is I'll come to you. And I think this conversation, I think most couples need to have this conversation, maybe quarterly, maybe twice a year, maybe once a year. I come to you and I say, how am I showing up as a husband and what can I do a better job at? And I remember the first time I asked you that question, your answer was, we need more time together. I want to spend more time talking to you. And all you want to do is watch TV. And, Prison Break was out and all the great shows were out. So I'm like, I had to hear you on that, though, because you were telling me, like, I need more time with you to be plugged in with you. So what did I have to do? I turned the TV off. And if you remember, we started going for walks after dinner and spending
Yeah.
time and talking to each other, which was fantastic, right? And yet, if I'm not asking that question and you're not telling me what you need, you're going to sit there and it's going to start festering over time. I
Hmm.
can never get time with him. He's always watching TV. And then an explosion happens. And it's like, where did this come from? We never even talked about it. Well, you can't wait for the explosion. You have to hit it head on and say, how am I doing? What can I work on? What do you need me to do to be a better partner for you? And you have to be
Yeah.
open to making the change. And I feel like I've been fairly open, right?
You
I
have.
feel like I have.
Yes, you have been. And I appreciate that. And what I will add to that is just the level of communication.
Mm,
And I remember one of these conversations we were having, and I was a little bit afraid to go into the conversation because I had been so busy with work and traveling, or I don't even remember, changing jobs or something. And you know this about me and people who are listening who know me. When I get on a thing, I go all in. I have a hard time doing something halfway
mhm,
or not well, not giving it my all or not giving it my best. And there have been seasons in our life that I have been consumed with things at work. And I remember thinking you were going to like really get on me. And I knew that it was the right thing, but just having that accountability to say the laptop goes off, work is done, let's focus on us and the kids or the time that we have, has been a really important part of it. It's
mhm,
communication, and it's having the opportunity to say what's on your mind. I think there are couples who don't necessarily do that, and they just keep going. You coexist without
right.
addressing what may be on your mind, on your heart, how you're feeling.
It can be uncomfortable for a lot of people to have those conversations. You
Yeah.
have to start having them, though. You have to talk about what you're going through, what you're experiencing, how it's making you feel. And you have to have those conversations. Like, I believe a heavy conversation like that, have it holding hands, because it's harder to be upset if you're holding your partner's hand and you're kind of talking through things. They
Yes.
need to be addressed because a lot of times it's not as bad as you think it is. And even if it is, it's bad because they're not aware of how you're feeling. So now that you've aired it out, now you can address it.
And sometimes it's just a little thing, right? It's not to say
Yeah.
that you're opening the door for something catastrophic. And I like the holding hands. So I would alter what you said just a little bit and say, hold one hand and hold a glass of wine or champagne in the other hand.
That's what I should have said because that's what we do.
Yes. To put it all out there for everyone.
You put it out there. I'm just, yeah.
Sometimes that's what happens. Yeah.
Yep.
So one of the things that I think has also been a part of our success in our relationship is time to do things that we both enjoy and we love. And I'm looking at you and I'm looking at these pictures on the wall behind you. I'd love you to tell the story about one of your other passions in photography, and specifically this trip that you went on that you captured those beautiful pictures.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. And I think it's really important for couples to have things that they do together, things they do with their kids, but things that they do individually. And so for me, I have a passion for photography. So what you guys are seeing behind me are some pictures of my trip to Kenya. And one thing about this trip, it was one of those bucket list trips. It was one of those things that was on my vision board for a number of years. You know how I spoke earlier about you have to have a strong why, right? Going to Africa was a strong why for me. So if I let fear get in the way, then I'm not making the money I need to pay for that trip, right? And beyond that, one of the things that I love about the time I spend with photography and spend with my camera is that it teaches me how to slow down and just be grateful for quiet time, be grateful for nature. It's taught me patience, especially doing bird photography, how to be patient. But it gives me something to look forward to. Like we all work so hard and we're so locked in and plugged in on life and family. We don't tend to put ourselves first. And I don't think it's selfish to put yourself first, because if you're not good, then you can't be good for the other people who actually count on you. So I make it a big point to take time every week to focus on one of my passions. It's also allowing me as an introvert time to recharge, because an introvert to me doesn't mean you're shy. It means that when you spend time talking, you have to recharge. And for me, recharging is quiet time with my camera out doing what I love.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. You are an introvert, but you were at one point shy. You're not very shy anymore.
I was really shy though. It was holding me back on a lot of things in my life. And so I had to learn how to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And there's still rooms where I'm a little uncomfortable. You wouldn't know it. I just keep showing up. And every time I do it, it gets a little easier to walk in those rooms.
So we are entering another stage in our life together and our partnership. And I mentioned earlier that we have two college students now. So we're going into this area called empty nesters, which some of the listeners already know about, but that's
Yep.
different for us. So tell me how you're feeling about us being empty nesters soon. I say partial empty nesters because they're going to college, but they will come back home
Maybe not.
for
Um,
breaks. No,
oh, for
for
breaks. Okay.
breaks.
Okay. No, we're empty nesters. And here's what I will say. So many people are like, are you sad? Like, how are you feeling? I'm so excited. Like, why
Yeah.
would I be sad? We've spent the last 18 plus years raising these girls to be independent, know how to handle themselves, professionally and personally, how to go out there and make money, save money, invest money. They're so smart. I'm ready for them to go because I want to see what they can do. I'm super excited about that. The thing I'm really sad about, I don't know about you, I haven't washed dishes in 10 years. I got to start washing dishes again. I'm
Oh
not
my
happy about
gosh.
that, but everything else I'm super excited about. How about you?
Well, I wash dishes when I cook, so I wash dishes all the time. I'm excited about it. I do feel a little something in my heart, though,
Mm,
and it's because it's more official that with both girls being gone. So it was an adjustment having our oldest daughter gone, and we still had the younger one here, and she was, not driving yet. And so we were still, taking her places. It's been like these baby steps. And now that the youngest is leaving, I'm very excited. I'm very happy for her, but it's like my babies are gone. Like they are grown up.
hmm
And there's something about that. I don't know. And part of just for us, we've been parents, not that we're not going to be parents. We've been parents and we've had kids around. What I'm really excited about is what life will be for us in the different type of places that we'll go and things we'll do
Right.
because we won't have kids at home. Watch out for the cities near us because we're going to be out and about enjoying
That
all of the new things.
That's exactly right. And I think I always tell people you need to have your own passions because if your life revolves around your kids, you will be lost when they leave. And that's why, I've always pushed you like find something that you're into. And I know you've done that. And, I'm into my traveling and my hiking and my photography. So I am ready. I am ready.
So here's one interesting thing for us to think about, and I'll see what the listeners think about this as well. Since we will be out and about more, maybe we will start to do some different restaurant outings, reviews, wine tasting and reviews. Maybe we can make a thing of it where it's like we're trying this new place in this new restaurant in this new town, and here's what we think about it. Something we can explore.
I think we should definitely explore that. And I think there's also a space for us to talk about what we touched on here, like how do you keep the relationship going? How do you partner up and support each other? There are just so many conversations that people need to hear from people that they know and trust. It's one thing to hear from somebody on YouTube, but you're like, I don't really know their life and what they're
Yeah.
all about. And we have so many different personal connections. And since we've lived Arizona, Cleveland, Los Angeles, Austin, Houston, Dallas, New Jersey, we know people all over. And I think we could really have an impact on people, showing them, how we navigate life, how we navigate making decisions, how we support each other, how we push each other, what we do to unplug and have fun. I think it would be a great conversation to have as we are out dining and experiencing all these new places.
I love that. I'm open to it, but I will say, just to get back to your book a little bit and your challenges and your pushing. So you definitely will help us do that last part, but I am a bit more reserved when it comes to the sharing and the social media part of it. And so in your book, one of the things that you have is this social media engagement challenge, which I have not done. I actually tried to do
Hmm.
this and I was not successful at doing it, but it's the challenge of more than I
Really?
fear it. And the challenge prompt is one thing that you've wanted so badly that you overcame a fear to get it. And maybe it was a career move, a
Yeah.
relationship, or even conquering a personal challenge. And share your story in the comments, tag me in the post, and let's inspire each other to want it more than we fear it. This is in David's book, I Want It More Than I Fear It, on page 20, the social media engagement challenge. So maybe that's something that we can try together. It'll be a little bit harder for me than it is for you. I want it more
It,
than I
it
fear
may
it.
be harder. And what I will tell you is the people who will hear you say it, they look at who you are and where you are, and they believe like I can never make it there, and it's only because they don't know who you are and where you came from. And so when you get comfortable telling your truth, it's going to make so many more people believe it's possible for them too, because right now they don't see what their life can be. But when they know that someone like you and me have pushed through these adversities and we've created the life we've created, then it becomes a little bit more doable when they see it demonstrated. So I think it's important we talk about it.
Okay, challenge accepted.
Challenge.
We talked about this podcast and having a seat at the table. And part of the reason that I started this podcast was a way of me giving back, telling my stories, giving my journey, being that mentor for so many people that needed a playbook because I didn't have one when I started my career.
Right.
And you are an advocate. You've been an advocate for me, but for so many professionals. What does your seat at the table look like today? And what does that mean to you?
I spent the first part of my career just like really proving something to myself. And I realized pretty quickly that having success wasn't enough. You had to have purpose, which is why I love the pivot I made in my career to become a coach, because I really believe when I wake up every morning, my purpose is the 29 agents that I have in my Push Academy. My job is to show up and help them create the life that they want. And I know when I do that, then I'll have the life that I want. So my seat at the table now is I'm in the position to pull back and help other people out. So my job is to pull up a chair and invite people in. And the way I do that is not forgetting where I came from, because all the things that I went through, the fear, the lack of discipline, the lack of structure, most of the people that I help are dealing with that same thing. And when they can see somebody sitting at the table that has overcome all those adversities in their business and is pulling out a chair saying, I see you and I can help.
Okay, so I want to get into some lightning round questions. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Give it to me.
What are you currently binge watching?
Lioness. Zoe Saldana. What? Great show. And I'm glad we just started it because we have 3 seasons now. So The Lioness, hands down.
And it is so good. It started off crazy. Okay, next question is, what is your favorite junk food?
Chicken wings. Is that considered junk food? Or are you thinking more like dessert? If it's more like dessert, I'm going to say ice cream.
Okay, both can be true.
If you talk to our daughter Morgan, the chicken wings is junk food. So
okay, and ice cream,
and ice cream.
Okay,
not together. Yeah.
Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Both. However, I would say night owl.
It's definitely both. When you are working, do you prefer complete silence or a playlist?
A playlist all day. I cannot work in silence.
Okay. And how about when traveling, a window seat or an aisle seat?
Window all day.
And why?
I like to lean out against the window and go to sleep, and I love to look out the window. So I got to rest my big head on something, and it's not going to be you. So I need the window seat.
Okay. I actually knew the answer to that, but I think it's a fun question. And for vacationing, do you prefer the mountains, the city, or the beach?
With you, the beach. Solo, the mountains.
And why?
With the beach with you, I just enjoy being out there and just relaxing, reading books and having drinks, by the water. And I love waking up to a sunrise on the water. For me, the mountains, because I love the solitude. I love to camp, have an open fire and sit back and enjoy a great cigar and just appreciate life and be one with nature. That's my happy place.
One with nature. So our friends know that there are times where they'll call me and I'll say, he's out being one with nature, because for those that know us well, know that you are one with nature and I am not necessarily one with nature. And that's okay.
It is okay.
And we have found our way.
Yeah.
That's right.
Amen.
Amen. Well, thank you for joining me today. It has been such a fun conversation. Thank you for joining me at the table. Thank you for helping me set this table, because if it were not for your encouragement and pushing, I would not have started this podcast. Please tell the listeners how they can find you, connect with you, and if they're interested in your book or the program that you do.
I love it. So the easiest place to reach me, Instagram, and it's my name, David Radney Push. It's the easiest way to find me. I'm also on LinkedIn at David Radney, or you can go to my website, David Radney Push. And you can purchase the book there as well.
Okay. Well, we'll put that in the show notes. Thank you again for joining. Thank you all for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend or with a colleague. And don't forget to give us a review on your favorite podcast platform. And remember, until next time, that the most important conversations don't always happen in the boardroom. They happen right here at the table. Thank you for listening. And if this podcast episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend. Invite them to the table. And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to this podcast on your favorite platform.